this piece is particularly important to me, and one of the reasons I'm really grateful for the opportunity to lead the event every year. Because I work in prisons, I go out in the streets and work with homeless folks. We go to Auschwitz-Birkenau every year. I'm going to Rwanda next year. And in all these places, over the years, I've begun to see that the violence that we're finding and the suffering and the destructive behaviors, that it's all part of the same kind of toxic viral load that exists in human culture. And as I said before, I don't believe that any of that is endemic to human nature. I believe human nature is full of wise innocence and basic goodness. But just like all the other viruses that pass around, that we've had to work very hard to suppress and manage, whether it's AIDS or typhus or polio, this human violence that's besetting our world, for me, it's this shadow aspect. And it happens at the level of individuals and families and organizations. I find it in the businesses I go in and consult with. And it happens on the global political scale, as we're all well aware of, and we're spending trillions of dollars playing out this shadow stuff instead of using it for healthy, life-sustaining purposes. And here in the event, I actually get to see myself and others have the opportunity to see it, own it, and have that chain break where that viral load of toxicity is not going to get passed on to another human being, not going to get passed on to children, not going to get passed into organizations. And for me, that gives me huge hope about our world. So this shadow stuff is quite important to me. And as we work together over these next 3 days, by being willing to look at this and embrace this, and even in a playful way, open up to these parts of ourselves with some humor and some spaciousness, and at times, there may be a lot of fear, and it's going to feel very tough to look at this stuff. But by doing so, we're going to feel more integrated. We're going to feel more whole. We're going to have a greater feeling of self-acceptance. We're going to have more energy. One of my experiences is doing the event the first 4 or 5 times I did it as a participant was I come out of it with a tremendous amount of energy, not only a window of change and insights about change, but the energy to change. Why? My theory about it is I'm not expending so much energy controlling that shadow and maintaining that split in myself. We use huge amounts of our sort of mental, psychic, spiritual, emotional energy to maintain the boundaries around that. And that's why sometimes it's so shocking when suddenly some piece of our shadow just leaps out into the room in some kind of inappropriate behavior, right? So we have the opportunity to liberate a lot of energy for ourselves, to diffuse the kind of negative emotions that created a lot of negative drama in our life, to release a lot of our guilt and shame that we live with, and to heal relationships. Because to the extent that we have dysfunctional relationships in our life is because our shadow's been running it, and the people we're involved with, their shadows have been running it, and we get into this complete dysfunctional play, which creates a lot of destruction. So that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at, and as we go through the 3 days, we'll keep coming back to that and kind of pointing that out and naming it, not to make it wrong, but so we can see it and re-own it and capture its richness and not have to live in fear of it. So that's the shadow.